Detroit done through and through. Welcome back to another Detroit Lions episode. Today, I'm going to be getting into some stuff, some fantastic news that I've been hearing coming out of mandatory minicamp from Dan Campbell. His press conference today that he had. Mainly, the main name that really stuck out to me was he mentioned a lot of people, but the one that really stuck out to me today was when he was talking about Matthew Betts. I don't want to call him a kid because he's 29 years old. So, but he is a I guess he's technically a rookie. I know he was with the Bears, but I don't think he played enough games to qualify as not a rookie. So let's just call him a rookie. I'm not sure, but 29 years old. And Dan Campbell was just absolutely raving over him. And I'm gonna be honest, I gotta give myself a little shame here because I know a lot of people on Twitter have been very excited about Matthew Betts coming from the CFL. He was like the CFL's like most best defensive player, essentially. 18 sacks, and everyone was thinking, hey, this is a position of need. This is something we need opposite on the other end of Aiden Hutchinson. And I've been kind of trying to pump the brakes. I've been kind of trying not to get too excited about this kid. And I'm not going to lie to you. I have some questions. I still have some reservations about if he can play in the NFL. The CFL and the NFL is obviously a huge jump in competition. I would even go out on a limb and say, maybe I'm standing on an island here, but I would say that most colleges are more competitive than some of the CFL football games. But I'm not trying to throw any shade. It's just my opinion. So I guess that's why I have some questions about Matthew Betts. But Dan Campbell today in his press conference pretty much saying, using the word versatility a lot. That really caught me by surprise because he was talking about Matthew Betts as an edge rusher and saying, he's got the speed, he's got the moves for a big guy, he's got fast hips, he's fast. He was saying all that. And he was saying, we've even tried him out in coverage in that Sam linebacker spot. That's kind of a role that James Houston's been doing the last couple of years. I know he was banged up last year, but that's kind of, are we going to see Matthew Betts as a Sam linebacker, a defensive end? Are we going to have Davenport on the field and Matthew Betts? Like, I really like these combinations that we're kind of throwing out there. It's getting me a little excited. So let's just imagine our starting defense. And Dan Campbell kind of already came out today and said that he doesn't even know who the starters are going to be in the secondary. So we'll just assume Carlton Davis is going to be cornerback one. We'll assume, the secondary is kind of going to rotate the other, the safety positions, the other corner, the nickel, what's going to happen with Brian Branch. But Dan Campbell kind of said that he doesn't exactly know what that's going to be as it sits today. We know who our linebackers are going to be. Jack Campbell also looked really good today in minicamp. I think he had 2 interceptions. And I think I heard he dropped a third one from Hendon Hooker. That Hendon Hooker gifted him one kind of, but he dropped it. So he still had 2 interceptions, almost a third. But Jack Campbell's looking good. Him and Alex Anzalone, Derek Barnes are going to be rotating in at that linebacker spot. And then defensive line-wise, we know what we got. Aiden Hutchinson, DJ Reader, Ali McNeil, Marcus Davenport, Matthew Betts. I don't know. Like I said, we could have a situation where we have Marcus Davenport, who's a solid pro. Look, if this guy stays healthy and he plays 17 games, we're not going to have any question marks about that defensive end position on the opposite side of Aiden Hutchinson. And then if you're looking at 3rd and 8, 3rd and 7, something along the lines of that, and we're on defense and we could throw Matthew Betts, James Houston. I'm kind of going to have to pay attention to that battle at that Sam linebacker if Betts is getting some reps there. It's exciting to think about. We have a lot of different pieces we can use in a lot of different ways. I still do have questions if Betts could play in the NFL. Time's going to tell. He's going to get plenty of reps. I think he's going to get a lot of opportunities this training camp and preseason. I will have my eyes on him defensively. I've talked about some other guys. Hendon Hooker on offense mainly is what I'm going to be watching on offense. But defensively, I'm going to be watching Matthew Betts. I'm really going to be watching that core 5 of guys that are going to be playing on that opposite end of Aiden Hutchinson, Pascal, Betts, Kaminsky, Houston, Davenport. And I've kind of thrown it out there that a lot of people aren't very happy that we didn't sign or trade for last season one of those big name defensive ends to put on that other end. And I've kind of thrown out the analogy of if you're a baseball fan, we can get that done, that position, that one position, we can kind of do it as like a bullpen, like a trial by committee, situational based, whatever Dan and Brad and AG and everyone thinks is best for personnel. Like I said, we could have a situation on defense where you got your base 4, Hutch, Reader, Ali McNeil, and Marcus Davenport. That's your base 4. And then do you put Matthew Betts at that Sam linebacker? James Houston, who I think is a really good pass rusher, but What James Houston does is he's a really good pass rusher. He's got phenomenal speed, but last year he was banged up, so we didn't kind of get to see if he added any more tools to his arsenal of pass rush. He just kind of solely relies on speed, and he's not very good in coverage. So if he can tune those things out, but I mean, maybe throw Betts in there if he's looking good in coverage. We have a lot of different weapons, a lot of different personnel groupings that are going to be very interesting to watch, and it's all going to be situation based. And I'm excited because I've been really, really high, and all I really want to talk about is defensive players. We know what we're getting from our offense. Like nothing's really changed. We added Zeitler on our offensive line. Donovan Peoples-Jones is probably like one of the only other X factors. I am going to be watching Isaiah Williams, the kid from Illinois, seeing what he does in training camp. But our offense as a whole, the majority, we're pretty much running it back. So I'm really focused on this defense because we've invested a lot of draft capital this past season, draft capital in the draft, and then a lot of free agent signings and trades too in our secondary. Amik Robertson that we've got, Carlton Davis we traded for from Tampa Bay, and then in the draft, we drafted Terrion Arnold and Ennis Rakestraw. So my attention is really on this defense because I think that that's the part that really needs to grow. Our offense, we're locked. We know we're going to be a top 5 offense at worst, I would say, if we stay completely healthy. We have plenty of weapons. Defensively, we gave up a lot of big passing yards. I think I threw out a stat that we gave up like 69 plays of over 29 yards or over 20 yards in the passing game, and it was like one of the worst in the NFL. We're going to get better. So how do you get better? You get better in coverage, obviously, no brainer, right? We're pretty much bringing in a brand new secondary, especially at the corner position. And we're going to be shuffling our safeties around. Like I said, I'm very high on Brian Branch. I keep repeating myself. I really think Brian Branch is going to be more of a safety. We can throw Amik Robertson into that nickel corner spot, and we're not going to have any drop off there. Then it's going to be, I think, Carlton Davis, Terrion Arnold on the outside, Brian Branch, Ife Melifonwu, Kirby Joseph. I don't know. Someone's going to have to be the I-man out. This is a good problem to have when you have a team that's very complete. I posted an episode earlier today, and someone was talking about, do we have one of the most complete rosters? And the first thing I said was, I can't knock San Francisco. They got to the NFC Championship for a reason. They have a very complete team, but I think the Detroit Lions are in the conversation. So this offseason, very invested in the defense, going into training camp and this mandatory minicamp. I'm watching defensive players with a little, I'm keeping some tabs on Hendon Hooker as well. But my main focus is this defense. If this defense can get into that top, I think if we get in the top 15, and I'm being generous, top 15 is a huge improvement. If we get to that top 10, we're going to be really, really clicking, and we're going to be a really, really tough team to beat. If we're getting pressure on a quarterback with Betts, Houston, Davenport, I think those are going to be the big 3 on that opposite end of Aiden Hutchinson, and then Aleem McNeil, DJ Reader, Aiden Hutchinson. If those guys are getting pass rush and this secondary is as good as it is on paper, look out. We are going to be making a lot of noise in the NFL this season, guys. So I'm impressed with Matthew Betts. It's kind of giving me a warm and fuzzy. I had some question marks coming into the season about him. Not too sure how his game's going to translate from the CFL to the NFL. But Dan Campbell's got me excited, man. He's saying a lot of stuff. He's using that versatility word. He's really praising him, saying a lot of good, positive things. And he's a coach. I get it. That's what he has to say. But I can just tell by his body language, like he's not blowing smoke up our ass. Like he's really taking a look at Betts, and he really likes what he's doing. So it kind of makes me believe a little bit more. So leave a comment down below, guys. Let me know how you're feeling about Matthew Betts' defense as a whole. Hit that like button. Stick around. Subscribe. I'll be back later with another show.